Good morning. Happy Sabbath. Thank you very much for your attendance. Good morning, happy Sabbath once again. I'm very overwhelmed with joy. Our Savior really corrects us throughout the week. But this morning we'd like to begin our studies in regards to our books and books that we have for sale. This morning I will share just a few. There are only a few. I don't want to make it a long day on books because there's many. They're all over our place, and we got bookshelves and no room left for bookshelves. So I want to share with us that the books that I will share with you are books that we've been quoting from, books that are correct, books that have been reprinted and printed for the specific purpose of your edification. And remember that if we do not study, we're not going to grow. We have to study. We know that we work 5 days a week, 6 days a week, but you have to study. Sometimes you got to stay up late for the exams. It's the same thing now. If you're 40, 50 years old, you got to study a little more. Some of you are retired, so you got income coming in, or you can do other income, like getting involved in literature evangelist work. And this is what we are transitioning to do. And that is by publishing the correct books and making sure that the correct books that the Prophet Ellen White wrote and others are out in the field. There are only specific books that she published that were to be out in the field, not all these other books that you've grown into and you've gotten involved with Review and Herald or Pacific Press in regards to literature evangelistic work. And we know that this work has to go around the world. Now for you who are in other countries, we do have boxes of literature. And I can ask one of the deacons, may you go to the table in the back and pick up those that are on top of that glass table. Can you bring that up front for us? And also, at this time, I'm going to share that these are a few books that I want to present this morning. This is our Sabbath School class this morning. We want to share with you that we do have Spirit of Prophecy Volume 1 through 4 available. Those are correct books. For those of you that have the church's books, the corporation's books, the black books, volumes 1 through 4, Spirit of Prophecy, you need to hold on to them. Okay? Now, the testimonies, numbers 1 through 30, those are in the process of being printed, the correct books. And I want to share with you that it's a lot of work. This is not easy. And we ask for your prayers. We also ask in regards to prayer that you can consider of getting involved in literature evangelistic work and medical missionary work. Therefore, the books that I wanted to share with you that come in boxes, for example, is the Commandments Under Attack. The Commandments Under Attack explain the three angels' messages and also explain the mark of the beast, okay? And it's entailed in here, so you can turn to it. Our next tabloid, now these tabloids are in boxes. There's 730 tabloids in a box, okay? 730 tabloids in a box. This one's entitled, Behold He Cometh. It discusses the 2,300-day year prophecy. And at the end of the study here, you will have a beautiful visual look on the 2,300-day year prophecy. And it's correct, okay? So this is one. And then our next one is Health to the Nations, a very powerful tabloid. Health to the Nations discusses many remedies and books that can be used to heal those various types of remedies. Okay? We have another one, World Crisis Foretold. It discusses Daniel chapter 2. Okay? And this is a very powerful little study here that I want to share with you so that you can go ahead and study it. There are many things that are listed in here that you can read and look up, also in your books, okay? These are nice, good Bible studies that you can use door to door, or you can do canvassing. There is a few more that I want to share, and I'll put these away for now. There is another little book. It's entitled The Hidden History of the English Scriptures. It's a very powerful book. It discusses the English in regard to the King James Version book. Okay, these are free. Okay, we have in the boxes 120. There's another one entitled Scriptures of Truth, and there's about, I believe, 180 in that one box. These are free, so you can call, you can obtain these. These were prepared in 2011 for the 400th anniversary when Pope Francis, not Pope Francis, Benedict XVI came to the United States celebrating 400th anniversary of the founding of this country. I've discussed that in very detail, by the way, numerous details. Bear with me. We also have another book. Here's another book, In Our Way of Thy Word. It's a very powerful book written by Gail Piplinger. What's her name? Let me turn to that. Yes, Mrs. Riplinger. Riplinger. Gail Riplinger. It's a very good book, very useful book, so you can understand the writings of the Texas Receptors, the King James Version, and how the other versions have really much air. Let me pull one out here. It's a very, very interesting book. It's one of my favorites, Hazardous and Materials. This is also done by Gail Riplinger. I know Gail Riplinger very well. She is studying on the Sabbath, by the way, for those of you that like to know. I drove out to her home here in Virginia. Now, this was entitled with the Greek and Hebrew, Study Dangers, The Voice of Strangers. Now remember, when these books were prepared, they were prepared by secret societies, members of different organizations. There's a lot of changes that had been done in the Greek and also in the Hebrew, so it's a very sensitive area in regards to using the correct Greek and the correct Hebrew, okay? Because nothing was written in Greek. It was translated from the Aramaic, Hebrew, into the Greek language, okay? I also want to share with us that it's a lot of studies, but you will get your answers. Now, I want to share two books. The first book that came out was Code Word Bar-Balon. This is the seat of the Vatican. And then, of course, many of you know the symbols that are here. This is written by P.D. Stewart. This is book one. The word Bar-Balon means Rome. Okay? This is part one. Much information in this book. Book number 2 is entitled Code Word Bar-Balon. The Antichrist is a woman, alive and well again. Very, very powerful book. Much information in here. We also have, done by P.D. Stewart, Shall I Be a Mason? Life or Death. It gives you inside information on these secret societies, bringing everything up to date in 2018. Another one, a very powerful little book that I encourage you, parents and single families, Secrets Beyond the Veil. What you don't know can hurt you. And this was actually put together so that the children and adults can but can read and expand their knowledge of what's being taught in the schools and what we believe in and how the new world order is bringing in and how they've changed the educational system. If any of you have any questions, as I know you do, feel free to call us at 540-370-1844. As you all know as well, we've prepared a book. Many of us have gone before us and they've passed away, but the message is still growing. We want to emphasize the great controversy between Christ and his angels and Satan and his angels, comparing the 1911 Great Controversy and the 1884 Great Controversy. This is in paperback. And I want to share with us that this book is very powerful, very useful in your universities. You get in your PhD, your degrees, because now you're going to give the correct message. Now you're going to understand who changed it and what was the purpose. Everything is written in this book. It's been researched appropriately. The other one is a hardback cover. The Great Controversy between Christ and his angels and Satan and his angels, comparing the 1911 Great Controversy and the 1884 Great Controversy. Everything in black is correct. Everything in red that they inserted comes from man. It wasn't inspired. It wasn't dictated. And the key words here is inspiration, inspired, and dictated. Everything written in blue was omitted into the revised books besides the 1884. The 1884 is correct. That's the foundation. Once again, they would not be able to write the books if it wasn't for the 84 Great Controversy. So the question is, why was the committee and the rest of the officials, along with the Vice President of the General Conference, W.W. Prescott, why did they revise and change the book? Well, your answers are here. It's all documented. It's all written by the prophet Ellen G. White and others. So here you'll find some beautiful and powerful information. I won't go into the details on this one because it will take a long, long time, and we are doing a series on it. Some more books for your consideration. These here are the Redemption series. Okay? This is Volume 1, Redemption of the First Advent of Christ and His Life and Ministry. Number 2, Redemption of the Temptation of Christ in the Wilderness, when He went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Number 2, Life of Christ number 3, Redemption of Miracles of Christ and Mighty One. Number 4, Life of Christ. Number 4, Redemption of Teachings of Christ, the Anointed One. Okay? And once again, they're all dated in regards to your year. Now, number 5, Redemption of Suffering of Christ, His Trial and Crucifixion. Number 6, Redemption of the Resurrection of Christ and His Ascension. That's something that can be used as your study throughout the year if you want to study it with your Bible. And I know that many of us have different versions of Bibles for better comprehension and better reading. But it's not hard to study a Bible, for example, the Textus Receptus, and use a good dictionary. And may I ask one of the deacons, go to the bookshelf, I think it's in the middle bookshelf, you'll find a dictionary. It's a green one that Ellen White used. Can you bring that one, please? It's a very thick one. Now, thank you. This is Life of Christ, number 7, Redemption of the Ministry of Peter and the Conversion of Saul. Okay? So you have the ministry of Peter and the conversion of Saul. The other one's entitled Redemption, Life of Christ, number 8, Redemption of the Teachings of Paul and the Mission of the Gentiles. Very powerful books. Very, very powerful books. Another one that you'd probably be interested in as well, for those of you that like to study on these secret societies. This one's entitled Secret Societies, Their False Religious Principles and Corrupt Practices. Very, very powerful book. Which would actually go along with the other books that I mentioned earlier. There's another one entitled The Prophetic Gift in the Gospel Church. Many of you might have this one, the Alpha and the Omega of Apostasy, when it started and what the conclusion is of it. Okay? And then, of course, Steps to Christ is another study that I haven't started. Steps to Christ was the first book I read prior to me coming into the church. And Steps to Christ was actually written by Revell Company. It's a Catholic printing company. Now, when the Seventh-day Adventist Church began to print the book, it was actually done by Marion Davis. It was Ellen G. White's elite secretary. And Marion Davis had gone to Bible school, and she wanted to learn how to do Bible studies, etc., and learn more of the prophecies. She was very helpful to Ellen White. However, this book was not a very good seller in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And it was not very well read and accepted. It is because Ellen G. White did not write this book, okay, verbatim. And I know that many of you have different conflicts and views, but I want to share with you, this book was actually sold to the Catholic Church. And in turn, the Catholic Church made a good sales in it. It was a good selling book. It was read very well with the Catholic denomination members, okay, and their clergy. And when it became a very good seller, the Seventh-day Adventist Church bought the book back from the Catholic Church. When they bought it back, they actually printed the book. They patented it, okay, because it wasn't a very good seller, and then it became a good seller. Now, what the Seventh-day Adventist Church did, I want to share with us what they did, was that they removed some very important key points. What they did is that they inserted the first chapter, The Sinner's Need of Christ. Then they inserted Rejoicing in the Lord. The Seventh-day Adventist Church inserted those two chapters, the first and the last one. So in the original book, when it was first done, it wasn't inserted in there. Okay? So there will be a study on this so that you will know who wrote the book. Okay, so we can understand what is going on. Let me see one more book. Another one is Christian Experience and Views. This is a sketch of the Christian Experience and Views. This is the correct book. This is the first one that Ellen G. White printed. Then she printed the 1858 Great Controversy, which is this one here. And she printed the 1858 Great Controversy. Okay? I know that many of us have many questions, but we want to bear with us for a few. This one's entitled Views of the Prophecies and Prophetic Chronology. This was done by William Miller. This is the 1841 Miller book. Evidence from Scripture and History of the Second Coming of Christ about the year 1843. This is the 1842 Miller book, or what we call it is the 1843 Miller book. So when you hear the names, the 41 Miller book or the 43 Miller book, these are the books that we're referring to. 41 Miller book and the 43 Miller book. Okay? Once again, can someone get the, it's a green dictionary. It's the only one that's green, yes. It's right there. Can you find it, please? And then the third one is Life Incidents. We quote from this book very much. In connection with the Great Advent Movement and the Three Angels' Messages. Okay, now, I want to share something else. These are bigger books. These are a set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a set. These were actually written by Sutton. Sutton has passed away now. It's about 2.5 years now he's been dead. And Sutton put these books together. The New Age Movement, 666. Yes, thank you. And also the New Age Movement and the Illuminati, 666. We also have In Gog They Trust. The Antichrist, 666. The Real Truth About UFOs and the New World Order, Connection. Thank you. Thank you very much. And a very interesting book that I have here in regards to ancient prophecies about the dragon and the beast and the false prophet. It's a must that you see and read this book. Now, this is actually a set. I want to share with us that if you want a box, there are 40 books in a box. 40 books in a box. Okay? But in this one, in Gog They Trust, it's 100 books. It's 100 books in this book. Okay? And so there are 40 of these in the box. 40 of them in the box. And there are 40 of this one in the box. I know I'm repeating, but just for your edification, 40 in a box. Okay? 40 in a box. 40 in a box. Are we okay on that? Now, so you would have a total of 6 books. Okay? We do sell them by boxes and we do sell them individually. If you've lost one, yes, we have it. You can recover it. I am only, I believe, one here in the United States that have the remainder of these books. Okay, they're no longer in publishing process. But there's some other things I will share, but not at this time. So feel free to call us. If you live in other countries, etc., the other ones that I mentioned first would be powerful for evangelism. Okay. Another book that I want to share with you. This one comes with a DVD. I want to share that. You need to see what it consists of. Here it is. Okay. This one's entitled Reviving the Original Spirit of Prophecy Writings. Okay. And then we have it in Spanish. We also have it in Spanish. Okay. But it comes with a DVD. Okay. So you got 4 hours in here. Okay. Explaining this material in regards to the changes of all the books. Okay. It is very deep. This is a course that you need to take. Okay, we do offer it here, by the way. Okay, now let me put this back. We also have the other one, Articles from the Daystar. Okay, on page 59, you will read in regards to the tinkling of the bells. When Christ stands up, those who are sealed on the earth will hear the tinkling of the bells of him standing up. And when he's coming, you will hear the tinkling of the bells. Okay? So it's stated in here. But there's a lot more, so bear with me because I can't cover this in a few minutes that I have. The other one is another very powerful book. Okay? This one's entitled Messengers to the Remnant. It gives you a lot of information on the changes of the books. Okay? These are done correctly. Another one that we have here, Present Truth. There was a gentleman that I knew very well, and he was my teacher. And I'll say he was my teacher, he was a professor. But throughout his life, he never heard well, I don't know if he never heard the radio, but he never saw TV as his pleasure. He spent much time in the books. His name is Vern Bates, has passed away now. He died in March 12th. It'll probably be, a year this year that he's passed away, or next year. However, no, he died March 7th, I apologize. March 7th, he was buried March 12th, okay? But hold on to your questions, and we'll answer you after the study. This one's entitled Facsimile Reproduction of the Present Truth and the Advent Review. This is a very powerful, powerful book for those that want to study on the feast, on the Seventh-day Adventist movement. What's that name I want to use? Come on, help me someone. What they were studying the feast. What were they called? I will come to it. It doesn't want to come out. But anyway, a lot of these papers here were actually just about ready to be thrashed. And so what he did, he got them together with his staff, and they had them reprinted. So now we have a book in regards to all the correct information in here. Call me on that, and I'll discuss it with you. I won't go into detail because there's a lot, and then I'll go running off like a rabbit here on a tangent. Now, one thing I want to share with you is that you need a Bible that has correct dates. Okay, you need a Bible that has correct dates. HMS Richards' Bible, with its studies in the back, is no longer printed. Okay, because Review and Herald says that nobody knows that man no more, and he's died off, and that they didn't want to present what he had to present, but yet those studies in the back of the book of the Bible are correct. So now it's being reprinted into the book with Pastor Mark Finley's study helps in the back. So the dates are in that book, the dates are correct, the cross-references are correct. But the studies, well, I question it. Then you need to get you a Bible. You also need to get you a Bible that you can find the Hebrew lexicon numbers behind or underneath each word, so you can look it up in the Hebrew lexicon or in the Greek lexicon. So that is also stated for you there in the very back that you can look up and read, okay? So it's not hard to look up information, and if you just turn anywhere, you'll notice, for example, in Matthew chapter 16, Pharisees and Sadducees asked for the sign. Well, you notice it says Pharisees here, it's word number 5330. Okay, so you can look it up in your Greek lexicon. There's other books that we have, but I'm not going to show you all those other Bibles. This is just a sample for your education and your edification and learning as a student and striving to be among the 144,000 and to give this message. We do have some DVDs that you can purchase, call us, etc., or you can email us at daniel-revelation@juno.com. Bear with me that you can share this studies. It's actually 5 hours. The Spirit of Prophecy Book Changes, Part 1 and 2, Revelation 19, verse 10. You can call to obtain that one. And then I mentioned earlier that you can also obtain the Spirit of Prophecy books of a New Order, Part 1A and Part 1B. Reviving the Spirit of Prophecy in These Last Days, Part 2A and Part 2B. Our third one is the history of the Spanish work that I put out on the internet and the YouTube. It discusses why all the Spanish people are coming into the United States. It's a prophecy, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that we want to be mean to people, but it's a prophecy. You cannot hold a prophecy from occurring. Now remember, when Pope Francis I came to the United States and Obama was in office, Obama was counseled to let the Spanish people come into the United States. And that was coming from the Antichrist, Pope Francis, Mario Bergoglio. Okay? He advised him. Now remember, a few years before then, one of my professors, and I won't mention his name, he had shared with me, called me into the chapel, and he says, you know, Richard, he's Afro-American, by the way. He says, we have had a meeting and prepared ourselves with many other theologians here in the Washington, D.C. area. And what we did is that we presented a proposal to President Obama in regards to letting the Spanish people come into the United States and work. And what he mentioned in this conversation, he says they're not terrorists. They don't come here to cause trouble. He says they come in here and do the jobs and take the jobs that others of us don't want to work with. He says, but they come in here, they work, and they go home. And they come to work to feed their families in other countries. Now, this is not only the Spanish people, this is also Caucasian people and other nationalities. And so, through this meeting that they had, and I'm glad that he called me into this meeting and shared that with me, because he knew that I was Spanish, and he's always on me in regards to saying, Richard, I need a Spanish person here to be on the channel here and on the radio, so we can lift up the messages to the Spanish people in Spanish. And so, in our discussion, he had shared with me that they had made a proposal presented to President Obama in regards to allowing the Spanish people to work in the United States. They had a part of it. Now, let me continue here. So here's the DVD on it. It's only 37 minutes and 22 seconds. The next one is the third and fourth angels' messages is discussing Welcome to the School of Prophecy. Part 1, Part 2A, Part 2B, Part 3A, Part 3B. This is in regards to Daniel chapter 12, verses 7, 11, and 12. This is what's discussed in here. Welcome to the School of Prophecy, how to study and use your hermeneutic principles. It's actually 5 sets. This one is in regards to 1 hour, Corporate and Soul 501c3, understanding what this is all about in these last days. One of the last ones, and there are others shared another time, this one's defining the statutes. It's 1 hour long, so that you want to understand what statutes means. Statutes are not the 10 Commandments, okay? Statutes, I'll give you 2 word numbers. Statute 2706 is in the masculine, it's no longer binding. That was nailed to the cross. Can I hear an amen? Okay. Statute number 2, 2707 and 2708 are in the feminine. They are permanently binding. Amen? So, if you'd like to obtain these, feel free to call us, and we will prepare to have you obtain them. This was entitled A Lamp in the Box by Christian J. Pinto, excuse me. Christian Pinto. Anyway, the next pope set up in Jerusalem is soon rule world order. Now, this is a full end time details call, American Century Books. You need to see what's in this. There's a lot of historical information here that will answer a lot of questions. I won't go into detail with this one. The next one is, now this one's a must. This is the Spanish Armada that took place in regards to England and Spain. To terrify, kill, and force England back into the Church of Rome. This is 1 hour. The next pope set up in Jerusalem to soon rule the world. So feel free to give us a call so you understand what the Spanish Armada is. It's going to give you all the historical information and biblical information in regards to what took place then. Why the storm took place to prevent the Spaniards coming into England and conquering them. Okay. Therefore, if you have any questions, give us a call. But before we close, and I want to thank you very much for bringing this up. This is a Bible, the American Dictionary of the English Language. This is Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary. This is the book that Ellen G. White used for her studies. Okay? This is why we brought it out for you, so that you can see the information that's in here. Okay? It's a very powerful book to use. It elaborates on many, many words, and it's defined professionally. Okay? So at this time, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, and we will make arrangements for you to receive these boxes of tabloids so that you can evangelize in your community, in your city, because it's very important to get this message out. Okay? You can always carry them on the side. You can knock on the door. Hello, my name is Richard, and we're doing a literary evangelistic crusade in your community. And we wanted to come before you and share with you that the Ten Commandments are under attack. And you can go through that with them. And by the way, please don't start with the Sabbath. Okay? Don't start with that. Start with the salvation and forgiveness and love. Let the Sabbath be explained as they ask you. Then you take them into the studies as you go into the home. Once you're invited into the home or other things take place, you can go ahead and do your Bible studies, okay? The people are hungry, ladies and gentlemen, all over the world, not just here in Virginia. So, as we begin here, if you have any questions, once again, give us a call. Our number is 540-370-1844. Or you may email us at daniel-revelation@juno.com. Let's close in a word of prayer. Can we do that? Okay, let's kneel. Oh. Our Father who art in heaven, we bow before you, and we ask for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to express a few books that we do carry. But most of all, help us by your mighty right hand, Isaiah 41, verse 10. Strengthen us and hold us up to give the correct message, to learn and relearn. And most of all, bless those who are viewing. Bless them to make decisions, to obtain these books in quantity, that they may evangelize in their community, in their family. Let them begin there first, and then spread out to other states, other countries. We thank you, and we close in our study in the name of Yeshua. For here are the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. Sweet Yeshua, sweet Jesus. Amen.